So what I wanted to talk today, Grant, was about Kyle's leadership. Obviously, there has been so much talk this week about Kyle in different ways, but I wanted to talk specifically about his leadership. And here is what struck me. So one is, of course, when we as fans get to watch Kyle's interviews and the different press conferences, it always feels that he's not taking the ownership, right, of things. Like as a leader, the number one thing is you take ownership of things, and whether it comes to all the injuries, hey, the buck stops with you.
Yep.
When it comes to the Super Bowl loss, the buck stops with you.
Right.
Um, but on the other hand, if you look at all the players around him, they just love Kyle. They seem to be fascinated. In fact, I was listening to this interview of Eric Cocker of DJ Reed, the guy who was cut last year with the injuries. And
Mm-hmm.
Eric mentioned, hey, like, I mean, how is it to play for Pete Carroll, who's a players coach? And DJ immediately jumped in and said, like, whoa, like Kyle is like so good with his players. And he went on supporting Kyle. And we have heard even John Lynch talk about like, hey, how he thought he was not sure whether Kyle was a leader, but then he was so impressed on how great a leader he was in front of the players. So here's my uh, ask or request to Kyle, right? And I think you have mentioned this as well a little bit, is show a little bit of that leadership more to the fans as well. Because again, for us as fans, we're always looking at the head coach and the players, and we are inspired by the leadership of these people, right?
Yeah.
And the interviews and press conferences, I mean, those are the avenues for fans to get a chance to look at his leadership qualities. And if he's not coming across and he just acts like, hey, I don't care, and that usual pose of Kyle, like, hey, like, I don't
Yeah.
like the press, I don't like the media, what he's depriving is the fans of a chance
Yes.
to get a view at his leadership, because
Right.
it's very clear that he has a different personality in front of his players than what the
True.
fans get to see.
That's true. That's
Yeah,
what
so
I've
I
heard
want to
too.
get,
There's
yeah,
an authenticity with him that I guess resonates with a lot of players, and that's great. And also, they know that he can make them money, right? He can help them get open. He can help their careers, so they respect him. I guess that's a really good point. If that exists inside you, why not let the fans see it too?
yeah,
That would only help. Yeah,
exactly,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And the best way to do it is by speaking more about those in front of the media, right, and the interviews and the press conference. And I don't know why he's holding back, but that would be my ask to Kyle. And the other minor point, again related to leadership, and you had mentioned this as well, is having the ability. I mean, this is something I don't know whether Kyle is still learning or he needs to get better at, is looking at the macro versus the micro, right? And this is maybe something, and obviously we don't know, but maybe something that I feel that everybody, all of us, and needs to go grow in that. And I feel that even when I look at a lot of people, including myself, we all grew. Like when you are an expert at what you do, as you become a leader, you got to be more and more into this delegation mode, and you cannot
Yes.
worry about the little things. We always say, hey, you have to look the forest for the trees, right?
Right.
You can't, yeah, you just cannot be focused on. And even Jed York, in one of the interviews, he was talking about how Kyle was like so zoned in with this once they traded up to get to that third pick, like you couldn't even like come near him. And because like I feel that he worries too much about all the little things, which is good, like, I mean, which shows that he cares about
Right.
things. But at the same
Yeah.
time, as a leader, you got to take a step back and look at the big picture. But I thought that when you talk about it, that was fascinating. But I don't know if you had any other thoughts on that.
Oh yeah, yeah. On his leadership, I mean, it must exist, right? He has his personality that's for the players. We'd like to see it too. The thing that he said, I mean, not really backing Garoppolo after the Super Bowl. His little plea to fans to leave him alone at soccer games. I mean, it's the wrong move. I think he'd be better off just saying, yeah. Like, I mean, here's the thing about him. Like you said, the micro and the macro.
Mhm.
He used to have an issue with this team with penalties, and I used to ask him about it in press conferences. And every time he'd be like, "Yeah, I know all the penalties. We had this penalty, we had that penalty, we had that penalty, we had that penalty. None of them are related. We don't have a penalty problem." Okay, well, you do that every time. You just
Mhm.
like look at the micro and say, "Okay, there's no real correlation here. What do you want me to say?" It's like,
Yeah.
okay, well, they keep happening, so how, I mean, it's the same thing with
Yeah,
injuries. You can
exactly.
just go
Yeah,
through each one and say, well, they're not related. And
correct.
if you don't want them to be related, then they're not related.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe he worries about it, like he doesn't show us. But you got to, as a leader, you got to delegate. You got to see the forest for the trees.
Yeah.
All
Macro
right,
versus micro, Kyle. Thank you
micro
very
versus
much,
micro.
Sai.
Thanks, Grant, and go short all.
Hey, you were right about the soft landing of Trey Lance as well. So I think you're in Kyle's head. You get it. I
Yeah,
appreciate it.
that's
Just want to
what
give you credit.
fascinates me always. So.
Yes, absolutely. All right, Sai. See you next time.